Hi there, welcome back to my channel Scrap and Coffee. In this video we are going to start the construction for this little box that doesn't have a name yet at this moment. Okay, so I bought this junk journal at the fair recently and I wanted to do something fun with it, but while I was flipping through it I realized that the papers for me didn't speak like mini album or folio. I wanted to do something else with it, so I came up with like a 3D project that can hold some cards or like photos on a card, something. So I came up with this box with a little shadow here, like we could do something fun there. And yeah, I'm going to try to show you how to construct it. This is like a tryout and I'm not 100% happy with the way this came together, so I'm changing it up while I'm making the videos, so you have to bear with me a little bit. I'm going to do my best to be as clear as possible, but we'll see how we go. So during the construction we do need to use some of the pattern papers before we stick together, because I think it will give you a better result in the end. So I'm going to keep that close. I'm going to keep this close because I need to just check like how did I do that, or how did I had it in my head that I need to do this. But we're going to work in sections. We're going to work step by step. So I prepared the first few pieces now, and then I have to measure and cut the next pieces. The largest piece that we are going to use is this one right here, which is 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. It's going to be the back of the box. And since we're using a lot of small pieces, when I make albums I always have a lot of cut-off pieces that are like, yeah, for an album or a folio they're not really usable, like this, and I saved them. Like some of these pieces are 3-4 years old, but I saved them. And for projects like this one, they can be really usable. So I'm going to try to make this piece without cutting into a new sheet of chipboard. So if you do the same thing, I highly suggest that you have a look at your scrap pieces of chipboard. I'm using a medium weight chipboard for this in craft, because I have a lot of black as well, but I figured maybe for the video this is a little bit better to see. And then for constructions I'm going to use tape. This is called Pro Artist tape. There are a lot of different tapes out there that you can work with this. If you really have trouble to find something, your second best option is like a masking tape in a black color, or a different color if you are fine with a different color, of course. So there is a lot there to find. If you really need to use your cardstock strips, you really need to measure during the process, because the tape really reduces the bulk by quite a lot. So yeah, you really have to measure. In places where I also have to measure, you really need to measure, and you probably come up with a different measurement. So just saying, if you don't use the tape, keep that in mind. Alright, then we go. We're going to start with our first piece, the back, which I said 5 3/4 by 4 3/8. I'm going to flip that so I can still see the measurement later on. And then I have 3 pieces. All 3 of them are 1 inch in width, and they are all 3 in a different size. So we have 2 side pieces. The first side piece is 1 inch by 5 3/4, and I added a little plus sign there on top. That means that you need to add the thickness of your chipboard to your measurement of the 5 3/4. I use 1/16 of an inch for that. That means that in my cutting board I go to the 5 3/4 and then I go 1 tick mark up, which gives me 1/13 of a 1/16 inch, if that makes sense. So when I show it on my ruler, that's just the easiest for me. When I go to my 5 3/4, I'm trying to get that to focus, I go 1 small tick mark up, which is a 1/16 of an inch. So I hope that is clear. So for this piece, 1 tick mark above the 5 3/4. The other one is exactly 5 3/4, so no extra there. And then we have a piece for the bottom, which is 1 inch by 4 3/8 plus the thickness of your chipboard. So in my case, a 1/16 of an inch, which gives me 7/16 of an inch. So I hope that's clear. You just add 1/16 of an inch to the measurement that I have right here. Then on both of the long side pieces, I made a diagonal line from the one that has the extra length. So when you put them next to each other, they're not the same length, they're different. The longest one, I started measuring from the left hand side, 3/8 of an inch. And then on the right top corner, I went down along the edge 3/4 of an inch. And I made that diagonal line. And I did the same thing here, only I mirrored it. So I started measuring on the other side, 3/8 of an inch. And then on the left top corner down, I went 3/4 of an inch and made that diagonal line. And I'm going to cut that off. You can, if you have strong scissors, you can use your scissors. You can cut it by hand, you can line it up in your paper trimmer. For cutting chipboard, I always use my old Fiskars trimmer. And this one has like the iron wire here, and it really helps me to line up the mark that I just made, and I can just like cut it. It doesn't go all the way through, but I will finish it off by hand. So here as well, I just line that up in my trimmer and finish it off by hand. And of course you can also just grab your ruler and your blade and align that and cut. And like I said, if you have strong scissors that can cut chipboard, you can use your scissors as well. It's just a small distance to cut. So there we go, I'm already through. So then this is prepared, this is mirrored, and hopefully when we place this on top, it's somewhat even. And it is. So that's good. Then we need to keep in mind that we are going to place, we have the back, we want it like this. All right, and I'm going to align it where the longest side aligns with the back. So I will show you that when I'm there. So I'm getting my tape and some wet glue. And we're just going to start with the longest of the two side panels. I'm going to turn my back piece sideways and I'm going to prepare my tape. I'm just placing this in front of me on my work surface and I'm overlapping the bottom piece, the back piece of the box, like halfway onto the tape. And then I will cut it off right here at the length. So this process will make your scissors go really sticky. And I use like a sticker remover to clean my scissors every now and then when it gets too bad. Okay, now I'm adding a little bit of wet glue along that long side of the side panel piece. And I'm going to place it. I'm sorry, I just like to work on this side, so my pieces are turning in every single direction. So this one, I need to align it where we angled the piece. I want to align that with the edge here, so it will stick out on the other side. So I'm going to make sure that I'm really pushed up against the chipboard and aligned here at the top. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to really push the pieces together. I have a little bit of overhang of my tape here. I will just cut that away for now. I could fold it over, but the thing is I just want to reduce the amount of layers as much as possible. So what I did, I am aligned right here. On this side, I'm sticking out a little bit. I hope you can see that. So now we're going to place the bottom piece right there. So I'm going to do the same thing with my tape. So again, like overlap about halfway. Grab the bottom piece. I'm going to put my glue along one of the longer edges. And it's also going to be glued up against the side panel, and therefore I need to put some glue right here at the outer edge. The glue is what really holding, it's really holding everything together. So I really want to make sure that everything is making contact. So I'm really having my eye on the corner. And once I'm happy, I'm going to bring my tape up. And again, I really push the piece up against the back piece as well. You need to give this a little bit of time to dry, because if you move it too much, it might go out of position before the glue is dry, right? Alright, then we have one more side panel to go. So same thing, I'm going to place my tape underneath the back. And then for this one, again, I'm going to put glue along the long edge here, close to the bottom. And also a little bit on that outer edge. And then we're going to again push it up against the bottom piece, and then it should align here on top. So hopefully, maybe I should have given that a dry fit before I did it, but I'm fine. And then if you are sticking out, and you always need to cut off from the bottom if you need to cut something off. But I'm good here. All right. So again, I just need to give this some time to dry. At this stage, I can reinforce this inside a little bit. For that, I'm just going to grab some tape. I'm just eyeballing the length. And I'm folding it in half. This is always a bit like finicky to do. And I'm just placing it on the bottom now, up into the crease, the fold, the corner, I don't know. And then with my flat bone folder, I push that into the corner. And then stick the side down. And the tape is really forgiving, so you can burnish out any overlapping or bubbles or creases. So I'm going to do that again. So I'm not going all the way to the top here, that's fine. This is just like some, oh, that wasn't a really smart thing to do. It's just a little reinforcement here to really make it a sturdy piece. So again, I fold it in half and stick it on the bottom part, and then I really push that into the corner. I don't know, I don't have a better word for it. And then burnish it onto the sides. And the same thing for the bottom, so I need a bit of a shorter piece here. It's probably a bit on the short side, that's fine. There we go. So I can just put a little piece of tape on these outer corners. I'm not going to worry about having it perfectly like a finish, like a perfect finish, because this is all going to be covered up later. Okay, so we need to do a few things, but at this stage I'm going to measure. Oh, I need to close my glue, otherwise it's going to clog up. I'm going to measure the size that I need for my front piece here. I know it's going to be 5 inches high. I'm going to measure outer edge to outer edge right here. So this would be 4.5 in my case, probably by 5 1/16 of an inch. Yep. So 4.5 by 5/16. So not 5/16, 5 1/16. So trying to get this most straightest edge that I can find. I always like to check on my cutting board, like what is the straight edge here. So 5 and then 1 tick mark up. By 4.5 is what I said, right? 4.5. Okay, I'm going to give that a fit. And if I need to cut off a hair, I will. Maybe I want to, because I'm slightly sticking out. Not everywhere though. I'm slightly sticking out here on the bottom, so maybe I need to straighten it up a little bit. Yeah. That's the thing, right? Your chipboard is not always like super straight, so. Okay, let's try that again. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so the measurement was 4.5 by 5 1/16 of an inch. Okay, but I'm not going to stick this down just yet. First, we need to do something else. Okay, before we attach it, I want to place some ribbon on the inside that will later on help me to get the cards out easier. So what I did is I grabbed a piece of ribbon, what shall it be, about 15, 16 inches long. I just estimated it, and I grabbed a piece of Tyvek because you can't rip it, but if you don't have Tyvek, you just use cardstock for this, right? So the measurement of this depends a little bit on the thickness of your, on the width of your ribbon. But I just got a piece blindly here. Let's say 1 1/4 by 3 3/4, and I just folded over approximately 1/2 inch on either end. So if you have a piece of cardstock, you score on that 3 3/4 inch side 1/2 inch from both sides, and then fold it over. You place some tape, and I'm just going to stick it here. So this is going to be our front for this part, and I'm going to stick it about 1 inch from the bottom. Yeah, about 1 inch from the bottom. So somewhat here. So the ribbon can move under this freely. However, and what I'm going to do just to secure it a tad more, because the hard thing is with Tyvek is to get a really good stick on it. I'm just grabbing some of my tape and just placing that over that half, like the fold there. That's just a little extra security. Then I'm going to bring the ribbon like somewhat there and grab some double-sided tape. something like this. And I'm going to adhere that so it's like it can move, but only up to a certain point. And again, I just want to make sure that this is really secure. So I'm going to remove these tape backings as well and just cover the whole thing with my tape one more time. So I'm covering the outer ends. And then make sure that the tape is covered as well. Just wondering if I'm doing this right, actually. Yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah. Okay. For now, I'm just going to leave it like this. We're going to glue it where the open part is at the bottom of our box. I'm going to lay this on top. I'm going to add some wet glue to these edges, place this on top, and then secure it with the tape on the outside. So maybe what I'll do is just get a little clip to hold that in place a little bit. So from where the angle starts, I'm going to place my glue and then in the U shape. Now if you want to have it secured on the inside, like we did here, you can add a strip of tape or cardstock and place them now. I'm just gonna leave it, it's fine. So making sure that this is at the bottom, I'm going to place this on top and align all my corners as best as I can. And my edges, of course. And then I'm going to get some tape. I will just clean up this edge here. I'll probably eyeball this a little bit. Somewhat there. And just going up to the edge here. Cover it like halfway. So it's sticking out on this side, yeah. And I can, if I want to, just instead of cutting it to the exact size, I can use this to kind of cover my corner, like an album corner, but I don't think it's going to be perfect. However, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect at this stage. I am going in with my long bone folder to really make sure that those edges are aligned, because when you push on it from this side, you might push it in if your glue hasn't dried completely. Okay, same thing. So you don't want to push too hard from this side here to make sure that everything stays in place. And then I will also do the bottom. So this is our first part of the box. Next up, we will construct this inner piece here, which is a loose section in my tryout piece. But this is basically what we are going to make and attach it on top of here. I was considering am I going to keep it loose so we can actually take it out and reach this, but I'm just going to attach it completely so it's in place and it's going to stay in place. So, okay, for the next section I've got my pieces. The largest piece, 4 3/8 by 1.5, that's what we're going to start with. I'm going to flip that over so I can still see the measurements when I'm done. And then I have 3 pieces, all 3 of them are 3/8 of an inch in width. And I'm going to start with the first small piece. This one is just over 1.5, so that's 1 9/16 of an inch. So just that 1.5 plus the thickness of your chipboard. And we are going to attach that here. I just rip my tape. So when I'm doing the same thing that we did earlier, but when I'm placing this on top, I just want to make sure that I am have a 1/4 inch or something left here on space of my tape, because the pieces are only 3/8 of an inch. I don't want it to go up too high. So I get that piece that is just over 1.5 inches. I'm going to place some glue along that edge here. And I'm going to align it here on one side. So again, my pieces are turning in every direction, right? Align it on one side and then it should stick out on the other. Try to hold that, it's small. And then fold that piece of tape over. Right, then I'm gonna go to the side where the piece is sticking out. And I'm going to place my tape there. So same thing, about a 1/4 inch that I still want to see. Grab the long piece. This one is 1 tick mark over the 4 3/8 of an inch. So that is 7/16 of an inch. Let's see, it's gonna go like that, and then I need glue here on the outer edge. So 3/8 of an inch by 7/16 of an inch. Again, I'm really making sure that I'm making contact here on the corner. And then I should stick out on this side slightly. And then I can fold that in place. And then we have one more piece. Do the same thing. Just making my finger is in the wrong spot there. Just making sure that I don't have too much overhang. And then I have one piece that is exactly 1.5 by 3/8 of an inch. So same thing, glue on the bottom edge and on that outer edge. Such small pieces. And that should line up there with the edge again, so not sticking out. Making contact here and then line up exactly there. If you do stick out there slightly, that's not the end of the world in this case. Okay. Now, I'm not really happy with how this is making contact here. So I'm going to reinforce that inside slightly. Again here, when I fold it, I'm not folding it in half, but I'm folding it in a way where I have about a 1/4 inch showing on top. I will try to use my bone folder here to, nah, that's not gonna work. I'll just have to stick it like something like that, and then push that into the crease. Alright, same, I'll just do all 3 sides here. Alright, so that's a little bit reinforced. Oh, don't forget to close my glue, though I do need it in a second. Get our base piece back in. Now you can decide to place pattern paper before we do this, but I'm going to do it later. I'm just going to give it a dry fit now. If this is fitting nicely on my base piece. And it is, well, it's like a hair off, but I think I can push that out a little bit. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on all 3 sides. And I'm going to align the 3 edges as best as I can. I'm just going to give it my best go. So I really want this top edge here to line up, because I want that to look like it's one piece later on. So while I'm holding it in place, I'm going to try to push the outer edge out a little bit with my bone folder, because I was like, they were like leaning in. So I'm just trying to get them to push out a little bit, so it aligns a little bit better with that edge. Just give it a try. I'm just keeping my eye on this edge as well. Okay. I close my glue, that's perfect. Now I need to think like, what is my best go at cleaning this up? I'll probably start with the edge here. So I'm just going to eyeball a piece. Let's see if we can do this in one go. Like, I'm going to stick it on here where I overlap on both sides of my piece. And let's see. I hope you can all see what I'm doing here. Maybe if I'll try to zoom in a little bit. And I'll put something here where it can focus on. Okay. So I'm going to angle the corner here with a little bit of overlap, just like you do with your album cover, where you don't cut all the way to the chipboard edge. And I'm going to try to do the same thing here, but I probably have to go with a little bit of an angle here. Like that. And then I can fold over the edge on this side. So I'm going to, I try not to push too hard on things, be gentle, because I'm really relying on a little bit of glue right now. Okay, now I'm just going to use my nail for this, but you can use a bone folder, of course, to like push in that overlap on either side of this. See, when I pull on this too hard, it's already coming off, so I really need to be careful here. Okay, now here we have a corner. Just trying to mark it as best as I can with my bone folder, and I'm going to angle the tape towards the corner. So I have this. And I'm going to fold that in here. And then I can fold the other piece over as well. Okay, so I will do the same thing on this side. I think I need to, it's a bit too close. There. I'm going to push here with my bone folder so I can really see where the angle is starting. I'm making a little fold in my tape. And I'm going to angle towards that fold there, so I can fold this part over. And we'll burnish that corner in a second. I'm not really happy with how that looks right now. There. And of course it's sticking to my ribbon here. Now this is the hard part from the inside. I need to angle this as well. And then we can push this part over. And that part. Okay, so this now looks like it's one piece, yeah? We will do this part here as well. We'll just go over again. I'm not worried about this bottom part because we're not going to see it when we're finished. But this part, yes, we are going to see. So I'm thinking I'll probably do this in parts. You have to layer a little bit. That's why one of the things that I really enjoy about the tape is that it's okay if I have to layer it slightly. But then I wish, no, that's not possible. So again, I am going to make sure that I can overlap it here a little bit. And if I feel that I have too much layers at one place, I'll just see if I can cut some pieces away. Okay, so again, to the other side. Now I'm just angling it a little closer to the corner since we already covered it, so that's fine. I guess it's fine. Just fold that over. Then we have our corner here again on the inside. It's hard to see, but I'm just cutting my tape towards that angle. So I have one loose flap here. And I might cut that away. Do I want to cut that away? No, I don't think I do. Okay, and I will do the same thing then on this side. So while I'm doing it, I'm like, maybe we wanted to have done the sides before we did the top part. But either way, you're going to see it somewhere that we have to cover up with pattern paper. So it doesn't really matter. So overlapping slightly here. I don't have to overlap on the bottom that much. So you can kind of see through the tape now. I'm not sure how well that's showing on camera, that my piece is not aligned 100%, but that's okay. You just want to make sure that you're not sticking out on an edge. So you just angle it so you don't stick out on the edge. That's all done. And then with my bone folder, I'll just like bash the corners slightly, not too hard, but not too aggressive, just to finish those off. And we'll add a piece of pattern paper on top of this. Now, these ones we want to do, I guess, yeah. So for this, I will start here at the edge and then bring it over here. So I have a way too big of a piece here. Just maybe like half an inch, 3/8 of an inch to half an inch overlap is more than enough. I am going to angle this here. on both sides. And let's see, we have our corner there, so we're going to angle it there as well, like that. And then we'll just cut a little triangle so we can fold this piece over. And that ribbon is like in my way, sticking to the tape everywhere. Same thing on this side. I'll cut out a triangle on that part where we have where we go straight. Fold that in, and then we need to angle towards the corner there. So we can fold these pieces in. And here I will angle with a slight overlap. So I'm just going to fold one side over, and then with my nail push that in and down. And then again we will cover this with some pattern paper. And I might cut a piece of black cardstock here to cover this inside part. But we'll have a look at that in a little bit. Let's first do this side. Bulkiness here. So again, I'm just using my nail to get that somewhat flat. And here as well. So once I've done all of this, I'll just use my bone folder to like work on those corners so they look kind of neat. And with the tape, this is just so much easier compared to with the cardstock. I kind of layered it here and there. However, it's not super bulky. Alright, so we've got all of that. We will, just because we can reach quite easy now, I'm going to prepare some cardstock to go on these parts here. Before we can continue constructing this box further, we need to work and think about making some of the parts look good. So, because you can't reach it as well later on. So I'm talking about this part here, which looks a little bit different in our box. But like, I think I like this to be covered with pattern paper instead of having to cut a piece exactly for it later. So I went into the junk journal book, and from the sheet with the 4x4 cards, and then this is the back. These are the 4x4 cards. I've selected the card with the planet. This one will go here on the front. So that's one. And then I also got the sheets with the, I'll probably use this as well, with the 3x4 cards, which has the rusty background. And I'm going to use the rusty side. I've got a strip 1 3/8 of an inch. I might need to cut a strip more, but we'll see in a second. This is going to go on the side here and also on the front part, but I'm not sure if this one strip is going to be enough. We need to have a piece that measures from up here to there approximately. So it doesn't have to go all the way, but like, let's say 2 1/4. So I need 2 pieces, 2 1/4. Then this is not enough to go here, so I need to cut another strip in a second. That's okay. Let's first focus on this. So we need to cut that angle in here. So what I'm going to do is, I'm placing it on here where I want it to go. Now this is a bit tricky, so let's see how far I can get. So I'm going to mark with my pencil. The angle is starting here, so just under. The angle is starting there, but I also have that part there. like here. And okay, I just need to do some measuring. So this is 3/4 of an inch, so I need to go at this point 3/4 of an inch down. 1, 2, 3. And this is how far in? Just under half an inch. Just under half an inch, so that looks pretty okay. So just under half an inch, and then here to there. Okay, so I've kind of measured on the paper, like when I have it in place. The angle starts here and here. So I just marked where I would need to cut that. And then I know that I need to cut this. This needs to be about 1.5 inches. Just under 1.5 inches. So I've marked that on the paper as well. Draw a straight line and then connect those two lines. And I'm just going to do my best to cut this out and we'll see what we get. And that is actually not bad. That is not bad at all. So what I can do is, because I need to mirror it, is I can just rely on the two sides being the same. So I'll probably draw it. Placing the two pieces of pattern paper on top of each other, I'm just going to draw that and then cut it. That was not the cleanest cut, that's okay, we'll cover that up with some ink, and that is also not bad. So some black ink. Maybe remove some remainder pencil marks. Alright, so I'm going to glue that in place. Just with some wet glue. And then you will notice that on top of this tape, it depends on what type of tape you use, but it stays slippery a bit longer. So you really need to be careful that you're not moving your pattern paper out of position. Okay, that's one. I'm trying to have my edges and corners to have a really good stick. I'm focused on burnishing those. Like here, my corner doesn't really want to stay. So I just need to hold that in place a little longer. Give some counter pressure with my bone folder from the inside. Alright, so that's in place as well. I will cut another strip 1 3/8 to go there. So I've cut this to 4 3/8. I'm just trying to even out the black. Just trying to find something that I can put in here to, so I don't push it out of its shape. Because I like to be a bit aggressive when I burnish my edges. Alright, so now I was looking at, like, actually I want to have a strip here as well. But again, this is not long enough, so I'll come back to that. Then this one. I did cut like a piece of black as well, 4 5/16 of an inch by 4 inches, and I've put some tape around the perimeter just to cover this, so that I'm sure that like there is no cardstock showing. I think it was actually fine, but since I've got it, I'm going to put it in place anyway. And in this part, I don't really have to worry about the bulk of the cardstock. Making sure that I have that in the right orientation, yeah. So I'm not too worried or too precise here, but just try to even out the edge somewhat. We're not going to see much of this later, but I just want to make sure like that I don't regret not putting something there later on and still seeing some chipboard. So this is just a to be sure piece. A just to be sure piece. Alright, then I have this planet and I'm really looking at it like, is there a top and bottom to this piece? Is this directional? I guess not. It's just however I like it to go, I guess. And I feel like there's a little star there on top. I'm going to lose it anyway, the star. That's okay. So I feel like this is the way to go. But that's just me. You might feel different. So I will ink these edges. Even though I probably don't see them. But again, it's a just to be sure situation. I'd rather just do it than later on go like, oh, I wish I did it. So here I'm going to keep in mind that there is going to be like a little edge here. So I'm going to place it slightly higher. So I see, yeah, as much as I can from the planet. Alright, so those pieces are in place. That means that we could continue with the construction right now. I just want to show you that I've also prepared 2 pieces of black cardstock to go on the inside here, but I'm going to attach them once the lid is on. So I could place this one right now, but I'll just do it in one go later on. So this one measures 4 5/16 of an inch by 3 inches. And it's gonna go here on the front. You just want to make sure that it doesn't interfere with your ribbon. Yeah, so when I am adhering this, I'm going to put my glue on 3 sides only. Then I have a piece 4 5/16 of an inch by 5.5 inches. These are, this is going on the back, but again you want to make sure that you don't glue your ribbon stock, so pull your ribbon to the front. Then it's gonna go in, but we're gonna have the attachment of the lid here, so I'm going to wait. I just prepared it for now. And I have 2 pieces of black cardstock that I've cut to 7/8 of an inch. You just want to make sure that that fits for you. That we need to cut like to go on the inside here to clean up this messy bit somewhat. So for that, I would place it in here, where you just go under the edge. So I'm sticking out, I'm going just under the edge, and I'm going to mark it like that. And then I will get my scissors and I cut on the inside of the pencil mark. So you cut that pencil mark away. So I'm not sure if you can see that on my scrap, but let's give it a go. See, the pencil line is completely there. I just cut slightly on the inside of it. And then, oh, other side. Then we can fit that nicely in here to cover up that part as well. But again, I'm going to wait until the lid is on. But I just, like, since now it's easy to handle, so I thought, like, let's just prepare it now. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to slide it under, mark it. It's a little bit easier than the pattern paper one, and just cut away the pencil mark, and then there, for both sides prepared. Alright, so the next step actually is to make this wrap and to make the lid, and then finish off the bottom, of course, because this bottom is open. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. I might cut a strip like 3/8 of an inch to go here as well, but I also might just do it later because I can reach it very easily. So for now, I hope you are enjoying it so far. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you really soon in the next tutorial for this box. Bye bye!